Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about Barbra Streisand and what I think her best album is. Now, maybe let me rephrase this. Let's say you're forced to go to a deserted island, and you're also forced to take one and only one Barbra Streisand album with you. What album would that be? Now, the I'm not sure why I'm thinking about Barbra Streisand. Maybe recently it had to do with Neil Diamond and "You Don't Bring Me Flowers" or something like that, and maybe that's why Barbra Streisand popped up into my mind. But let me give you a little background into my intro into Barbra Streisand. Growing up, I actually knew Barbra Streisand or recall her first as a movie star. And I remember she had two, three movies that came out, maybe I think in the 90s. Was it Prince of Tides, Mirror with Man or Mirror with Two Faces, something like that? With the Fockers? I don't know. So I don't remember. Oh, that's in the 2000s. But essentially, first time I recognized the name Barbra Streisand, I knew her as a movie star. Now, I also knew she sang, but I thought she was more of a movie star first and a singer second. See, that's me growing up being naive and all this. But and the songs I knew was "Don't Bring Me Flowers" with Neil Diamond, that duet. Maybe a couple other songs, but that's pretty much it. I think, and the songs would be from the movies, right? So that's what I always viewed her as first. But in time, I realized she was a singer, a very popular singer, in fact. And it took me a while to get into her music, and the library was my best friend back then. And really, the first album, the CD I've seen at the library that I checked out was this one, her greatest hits. Okay, and when I first got this CD and I took it home and played it, after listening to the whole album, I thought she absolutely sucked. I mean, I did not like anything in here. I didn't recognize anything. Even people, I barely I knew people from the Oscar Peterson track, because I had one of his Verve compilation albums, I think, and it had People. And I love the Oscar Peterson version of People, and it's just it's all jazz, right? And then when I heard her singing this song, I was like, it's okay, but that's where I recognized the song, and everything else I didn't recognize at all. Not only that, I didn't really like it, but I did notice her music was kind of show tuney, like Broadway-ish, that type of thing. So I was thinking at the time, and at that time, I didn't even know that's how she started her career in kind of the musical Broadway show tunes type stuff. So I didn't know that at the time. So when I first listened to this album, I'm like, I thought she sucked. If this was her greatest hits, I thought she was pretty bad. It didn't take me long though to pick up this album at the library. It's her greatest hits again, but it's her second ones, volume 2. And outside of "Don't Bring Me Flowers," I didn't really, from the titles, I didn't know what the songs were. But when I first played this front to back, I was blown away. I mean, it's like this. Between this, her second greatest hits, and her first greatest hits, they're like night and day. Totally different style of music, everything. I was so like confused too, and yet impressed. I was impressed with this. I loved every song on here. I recognized maybe about half of them at the time, but it didn't matter. Every song just hit. It hit hard. And that's when I really got into Barbra Streisand. Not only did I like the music, I also like her voice. And even to this day, I always have her basically one of my, I would consider her one of my top 10 female pop vocalists of all time. Um, there's a lot these days. Once for me, just listening to a lot of artists over time, my my rankings usually change here and there, but not by much. She's definitely in my top 10 for pop music vocalists. I want to separate her from like Broadway or opera voices, things like that, because that to me is another genre. Everything just not only different genre and all, but once you add those genres in, there's going to be a lot more female vocalists that might actually push her down a bit. But from a pure pop music perspective, I love her voice and I love all the songs on here. My favorite actually being Stony N. It's a Laura Nyro composition. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but that being my favorite. But everything here hits hard. Believe it or not, the weakest track I feel is my You Don't Bring Me Flowers, her actual duet with Neil Diamond. That was actually, I think that song came out in this greatest hits. It was introduced in this greatest hits package. Now, that's when I really started to follow up on her, and I started to pick up other albums too. So, picked up her other greatest hits, Memories. Now, this one is actually very good too. Her compilation, it's not like a few years right after the volume 2 this came out. And this one is also good. It has Memory, which is one of my favorite songs from her as well. And Enough is Enough with Donna Summer. But it's missing a few songs I really love from the other one. So it's tough to say. But this one was pretty strong as well. And then later on, I picked up this. Even though I wasn't really interested in picking up this one. This is her collection. All these were actually, when I picked these CDs, I bought these used, and they were kind of cheap. So I didn't want to get this. This one has not many of her good songs. It does have more of her Barry Gibb years and her later years, which I didn't think they were good. But, kind of her cover photo, it's kind of, I don't know. I've never seen her like that. So I'm like, I got to pick it up. It might be some, risque songs on here, but no, they're not. And now I'm gonna show this, but I'm not including this as an album, is because to me this compilation album is what I call like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame compilation album. When I mean that, I basically mean these are compilation albums that come like after the artist's time. Like in this case, Barbra Streisand. It came after all her peak years or even her down years. Basically when she stopped making any relevant good music if any at all, for the popular music. Things where you pretty much, when I'm at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you got to be retired for a certain amount of time before they can consider you to vote you into the Rock and Roll. That's what I mean. This is basically the same thing. This is an album that came out when she's pretty much done a few years already. So this is the best compilation album, but I don't consider it her album that, like the other ones, the Greatest Hits Volume 1, Greatest Hits Volume 2, Memories. Those are compilation albums, but they came out during the time her peak years, and she was still making music that was popular in records afterwards that were popular, and you hear them on the radio and things like that. So I consider those more like traditional albums, even though they're compilation. This is her retirement compilation album, so that's why I'm not considering this as an album to consider to go to, the island or something like that. So anyway, so I was trying to figure out why and this is pre-internet, pre-Google. The internet already came on, but I never had access to it, or Google I don't think came out at the time. But I never understood why like Volume 1 and Volume 2. So these two. were so different. So, and see, I got both on vinyl format as well. Realize I don't have this one on CD because I didn't like this album at all. The only reason why I have this on vinyl is because at garage sale there's a box that you gotta buy set, and it included this and all the other Barbra Streisand albums I have, and I had to buy it as a set. But it's an album I listened when I bought it. I just listened to it once and that's it. I wasn't really interested. But anyway, going back, I was trying to understand why her music changed so much. And I actually got this during the time when record stores started to close. Is her box set. Okay, this is it's called Just for the Record. It's actually basically her complete, all her music from the 60s. There's 2 CDs. This is a 4 CD box set. 2 CDs in the 60s, 1 CD in the 70s, and 1 CD in the 80s. I think that's how it goes. Yeah, nothing in the 90s. So, and really there is nothing in the 90s, but I picked this up, and then there's a nice booklet and everything you can read in, and that's when I started to understand why her music changed. Is because really she, again, as I think I might have alluded to, I forgot, but she started out as a like Funny Girl and so forth, Broadway, and that's how she became popular. And her voice is spectacular for sure, especially for that music, that kind of music. But when I started listening to her first, I wasn't really into that music, and still I'm so. I mean, I've picked up Broadway musicals, music, soundtracks, things like that over time, but still, it's not my kind of thing. But anyway, that's when I realized listening to this entire, and it's basically in chronological order, and that's when I understood how she started out. And it's very, to me, quite impressive. She going from show tunes that were popular back in the 60s to just hitting mainstream stuff in the 70s. Even the soundtracks and maybe like even Cats with Memory, to me for some reason is more the way she sings and stuff is more popish than popish being like top 40 pop versus like the show tune Broadway pop, that type of thing. So yeah, it's just very, very impressive. And that's how I understood Barbra Streisand. And again, after going through her albums and listening to stuff like this all the way through, to me, she would voice from a vocal standpoint. She's been in my top 10 for female pop vocalists of all time. Now, going back to my original question. Oh, before I go on, I did pick up a few albums, not pick up, but listen to a few albums over time, meaning like her soundtrack albums. And, I do have an album of hers that also I got that was in vinyl, something like this, A Star Is Born. And this is not my thing, this one. So I did listen to some of her non-compilation albums, maybe a couple of it from the 60s. I did listen to some of her concerts. She had one at the Forum. That's, I think, in the 60s as well. And maybe a concert in the 70s. And just her regular albums, non-compilation albums. And I didn't, just to let you know, I haven't listened to everything, but the ones I've listened to, outside of the 1 or 2 songs that may have been a hit coming from that album, those are albums I wouldn't consider something that was good, in my opinion. So really, it comes down to 2 albums that I would have to choose to, that would I have to consider her best album, or the album I would take to an island if I only had to take one. It would be these 2 again. So it would be her Greatest Hits Volume 2 and her Memories compilation. And these 2 are tough because this one has Memory, which I think is one of her best songs, period. And also Enough Is Enough, if you like that Donna Summer disco stuff, which I do. Versus this, which has my absolute favorite song, Stony End, as well as Sweet Inspiration and Prisoner, you know, that song. So it's a tough sell, a tough decision to make, but the more I think about it, and I've been playing these two albums really in CD format to compare and see how I feel, and it would have to be this one, Volume 2. And the main reason being, I love every song on here. Here has two songs not on this one that are strong, but other than that, there's some weak songs on here that I'm not a big fan of. So to me, this is the album I consider her best album of all her albums during her, prime years, and music that she's still been putting out before and after. And this would be the album I would take to an island if I had to choose one and only one from Barbra Streisand. Now, if I could choose a compilation or any album, really, any album, it would have been this one, The Essential. But this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame type of compilation album, and it's most people wouldn't consider that an album, an official album, not like these two. So this one is it. And believe it or not, I kind of did some research afterwards when I decided that this would be the album I take, and I realized this album was super popular at the time too. A lot of people. This was probably her best-selling album. Period. I'm not sure if this one is, or this one overtook it. I know this was pretty popular too, but I know for sure when this came out, this was her best-selling album for a long time. So if it's a long time, it's probably better than this. So I think her Barbra Streisand fans, whether hardcore, casual, or whatnot, even non-fans, if you need it, for non-fans especially, if you wanted to listen one album and one album only, this would be it. Her Volume 2. Greatest Hits Volume 2. So, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Any Barbra Streisand fans and whatnot who actually maybe lived through that time when she started to come out, things like that. Are there any albums that you would recommend, or what you would consider your favorite album? I don't know. This is my favorite, and this is it. Anyway, that's all I wanted to mention or talk for today. Thank you. Bye.